We Catholic believe that there is a link, there is a harmony between the Old Testament and the New Testament. The Old Testament announces the New, and the New Testament comes to fulfill the Old Testament. That is why St. Augustine once said that the New Testament is hidden in the Old, and the Old Testament is made manifest in the New. We see this in today's liturgy as we read the first reading and the Gospel. They are very similar today, and they complete one another. For the Gospel, we begin reading today John chapter 6. Since the solemnity of Corpus Christi, we have been reading the Gospel of St. Mark. Now we turn to John chapter 6. John chapter 6 is known as the Bread of Life discourse. From today and even the 5 weeks coming, we'll look through this chapter and see Jesus teaching about himself. Through this chapter, all the weeks coming, we'll see Jesus teaching on the Eucharist, and we'll see also the reaction of his listeners. This Bread of Life discourse begins today as we read John 6, 1 to 15, which speaks today about the miracle of the multiplication of bread. A same type of miracle that happened also in today's first reading, taken from the second book of Kings. As I mentioned, the Gospel and the first reading today tells us the same thing. Both tells us that there is a hungry crowd, many to feed. Both mention that the food is brought to the men of God. In the first reading, the food is brought to the prophet Elisha. And in the Gospel, the food is brought to the Son of God, to Jesus. In both readings, the amount of food is specified. In the first reading, it is 20 loaves of barley bread. And in the Gospel, it's 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. In both readings, it is objected that the quantity of food is not enough. In the first reading, it is 20 loaves of barley bread to feed 100 people. In the Gospel, it is 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread to feed 5,000 people. And this miracle is in all the Gospels. All the 4 Gospels speaks about these same miracles. It's one of the, would say, popular miracle of Jesus. And if we read to the Gospel of St. Matthew tells us that they were 5,000 without including women and children. So if we add ladies and children to the math, we could say it was 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish to feed approximately 25,000 people. In both readings, behaving as the master of the situation, the man of God ignores the objection that the food is not enough for the crowd. He asked the food to be distributed to the people. Finally, what do we see in both readings today? Well, the crowd not only have enough, but there is some left over. In the Old Testament, it is the prophet Elisha who does this miracle, and in the Gospel, it is Jesus himself. So we see the similarity between the Old Testament and the New Testament. The prophet Elisha here prefigures Jesus, and Jesus comes to fill the light in the ministry of Elisha and all the prophets. And in fact, if you have read and if you read the second book of Kings, which speaks about the ministry of the prophet Elisha, you will see that the prophet Elisha has done 16 miracles. And the majority of them are very similar to the miracle that Jesus will come to do in the New Testament. So there is a continuity, link, and harmony in the Holy Scriptures.